Welcome to Scramble Game Show. Today, we have two guests in our show. As sort of a breaking a rule, we are not going to have a game in today's show. We're going to have a back-to-back two interviews. The reason is very simple. We are now in the season for election, and as we decided to do for this show, we bring candidates to our show as part of an education process for our kids and our families in the communities. I think we all should be aware of the political events and the issues and who are running for our government positions. So today, first, we have two gentlemen. They are candidates for the town of Somers Councilman. And this position is a part-time position. However, it's very important because it basically runs the town's affairs from construction planning, development, environmental, utilities, all sorts of things. So it's a very important job, even though it's not a full-time job. So we have two gentlemen here to tell us why they are running for the position, what they're going to do for the town of Somers. Now let's welcome Rick Morrissey and Harold Bolton.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, we are very informal in this show. It's not like Letterman or these $80 million budget show. So few at ease and speak your mind, okay? I'm going to first throw the questions of why you guys want to run for this part-time job.
Well, in my case, I've been involved in the Somers community for 30 years. I've lived in Somers, coached football and lacrosse on a modified level. I've had a son that's come through the school system, and he's out of the home now, gainfully employed. And this is kind of a way for me to give back to the community as well. I've chaired an architectural review board. I co-chair an open space committee. Mm-hmm. And although we report back to the town board, I would like to have more of a voice in how the town is run.
That's good. So you brought a lot of experience already.
Yeah, local experience, and I've also been in county government for over 30 years. I've been involved in grant writing and program design, operation, and I want to bring those same talents.
30 years in the government services.
Correct.
That's a very long experience. And so what's your reason?
I'm a business person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a taxpayer.
Right.
And I think I can work with the town to maintain, if not lower, the amount of money that we spend on things that we purchase. I work for a Fortune 30 company. Mm-hmm. I'm in charge of construction contracts for the northeastern part of the United States. So I've got a lot of experience with utility construction contracting. Mm-hmm. I also have worked quite closely with all different aspects of the business to try to save money.
So you're bringing a corporate experience, particularly in the business for, say, negotiation contracts and so on.
Right. Well, Rick brings the governmental background, I bring the business background.
Very good.
Neither of us are great politicians, are we?
But
we are.
Like you are sort of running as a team.
Well, we're both running for council seats, and I think that if we both were elected together, we could do a lot.
Right. So this year, there are 3 seats open, or 2 seats open?
2 seats.
2 seats. But there are 4 candidates or 3 candidates?
Well, there's a supervisor, and one of the existing town board members is running for that position. Mm-hmm. There are 2 vacant, will be up for election.
Right.
2 seats on the town board or town council positions. Mm-hmm. And Harry and myself are vying for those 2 positions. We hope to unseat the incumbents. So it's an uphill battle for us.
So it basically is 2 positions, 3 candidates.
Correct.
Well, tell us, what are the major issues that the councilman faces at this point in Somers?
Well, I think that town of Somers is a wonderful place to live in. But I also realize in my government position and, listening to the news that we're in an economic crisis at this point. It's going to come down to the local level as well. And I don't see that the current town board composition, the majority members, are really reacting realistically to this. I think we need to control our spending. By controlling spending, that has an impact on what the taxes are. I think we have to make some hard decisions over the next number of years in the town. And certainly I would shy away from lessening our labor force, but do things smarter. And I deferred to Harry on ways of going out to bid with things, on getting more estimates on services that we have to purchase, and be smarter in our own house. Let's look at current personnel. How can we better utilize them to benefit the town and its resources?
Well, the government budget is almost universal everywhere, keep on going up and up, right? But for the town of Somers, what is the record? What's the sort of history about the taxes and budgets that are in the past?
Historically, in Somers, the Republicans that have controlled the town, right, have held the taxes to, tax rate increases to a minimum. The last election cycle, you had a Democratic takeover of the town.
The
board,
majority
basically.
of the council.
So the majority of the council members
voting.
are now Democrats. And over the last 2 years, we haven't really seen very many things that they've brought to the table. Some of the things that they've put out this election cycle as ideas for themselves to do are rather costly things that aren't really appropriate in this kind of an economy. Putting in sidewalks and things that we would have to maintain. I don't think they've thought through a lot of these things that they're saying, and that's indicative of what they're doing. I think Rick and I both bring, besides our backgrounds, we're both pretty active as far as volunteerism and doing things that we'd like to move along. It's one thing to sit there and bemoan that you don't have the money to do something. It's entirely different to say, well, let's get up and see if we can get 20 people to go take care of it. And I think he and I are the kind of guys that are going to do that for the town.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate in the fact that Somers has one of the lowest tax rates in northern Westchester. And we're within a county that has one of the highest tax rates in the nation.
In the country, yeah.
But getting back to what Harry was saying about volunteerism, I'm a Somers Lion and a vice president in the club, and we look for hands-on projects. So
yes, Lions has been really good in providing some community services type of projects.
So, we're really looking at common sense approach to running our town government. Instead of going out to contract to do something, let's look for some volunteers to help assist to do things.
For example, the Angle
Reserve.
Reserve is a lot of volunteers doing things there.
Rick's been down there endlessly doing it. He really has.
I've done some volunteer work there myself. I've had Lions down there. I co-chair Open Space Committee with another gentleman, and this committee was instrumental in taking this 654 acres out of the getting it out of the planning process, because they were going to develop 108 McMansions on that site, and we were able to work with the town board and worked out a purchase with other partners: New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, New York City Department of Environmental Protection, the county, and the town. And we actually last weekend opened it up to the general public.
This project, actually, we featured the Anglefly on this show. We invited this young man who is a photographer that we did a video presentation. It reminds me that probably we should now invite whoever's in charge to come back again to tell us now it's open. We probably want people to know and enjoy this place.
Yes, it's fabulous. We have one trail that's currently open, 1.8 miles, and it's a wonderful trail. We were down there clearing it up, and we have about 8 miles to go over the next few years.
Very good. Good. I will make a mental note on that
Sure.
to invite somebody to talk about this. Well, let's get back to the so-called local politics. Now, what do you...
I'm the president of my condo association at Heritage Hills. And over the last 5 years that I've been the president of the condo association, I've brought in, all kinds of road projects, lighting projects, roofing projects, all different kinds of things that I've done under budget, on time. I check what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, and I carry through with what I try to do.
Well,
I haven't raised my rates on my residents in 4 years, okay, because I haven't had a need to. Now, if I can do that in a little microcosm, granted, all right, but my putting in roads and courtyards are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, it's not, I spent $250,000 doing courtyards. So, I mean, I know what I'm doing when it comes to those kinds of things. Not that I'm going to take anything away from our highway superintendent or anything else, but I think I could bring some different venue to what we're doing and hopefully be helpful.
Well,
and that's our intention.
In terms of infrastructure in town of Somers, I live in Somers. I certainly know, for example, roads are not in great shape, right? Some places certainly. So what are the infrastructures that we absolutely need to do, and what would that cost us?
If you ride around in the town, it's like every other town in Westchester County. You have a lot of problems with county roads. You have a lot of problems with local roads. A lot of it's washout. It's sides of the roads need work. You need to have money. You need to have riprap to put down. You need to put things down to make sure that the roads are safe. And we're lucky in that we have Tommy Cheverini, who's a very good superintendent. His people are excellent. But as we move forward and we don't have the money to hire more people, to replace the fellows that they're losing, it becomes more important to really review how you spend every nickel that you have.
Right.
And I think
in contrast to that, I've heard that people are proposing to do a community center or do projects. So what's your view on that?
I would love to see the town of Somers have a community center. But the reality, the common sense approach to a community center at this time is that a government or town-sponsored and funded community center is too expensive for us. The proposal that the town commissioned to study for a community center, certainly we need one, but the estimates that came back on the scope of the center that was proposed was 61,000 square foot. I don't know what the final dollar amount was, but it was so expensive that it never even came up for a bond. After the board got those numbers back, said, we can't go forward with this. But my question to that would be, then look at the money you've expended on the study.
Right.
Look at all the time. I mean, as the Architectural Review Board, we reviewed those plans as well. We spent many hours doing that.
So now here's a business point.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody in my company would go out and try to design and do a community center without someone saying, okay, you have this much money to spend, all right? What we do is we go out and look for some grandiose design and then say, oh my God, it's so high priced, we couldn't even put it up before the voters. That's what the current people...
So that means you basically have no planning.
Well, that's a wrong approach. What that does is that has people like Rick on his committees wasting their hours and their time. It's frustration on the part of the residents that are trying to do something and get involved.
Right.
And it's the kind of leadership you're getting from the two people that we're running against. And that's one of the reasons I'm running, because I think it's just ridiculous. We need to take a more concise approach to these things. And I think it'd be helpful for our town if we were elected to try to be able to do that.
So if you are elected, so what you propose to do?
Well, Rick had a great idea for that review,
Yeah, A lot of developers, a lot of private property owners come into the town. They go get a permit. They get referred to the planning board or the zoning board if they need variances. We had an idea of forming a concept committee of, could be board members, where they meet once a month with a developer. A developer comes in with, I want to develop my land on wherever it is. I want to do this or that. And we can say, well, look, there's a master plan for the town. And what you're proposing doesn't fit into the master plan. But if you did this instead or changed this on it, it would. Now, this developer has not spent dime one on plans, site work, architects. He's talked to representatives of the town and gotten an idea of what we want.
But that is based on the assumption that you have a town master plan. Do we have one?
We're quickly closing it, wrapping it up. Yeah, it's taken quite some time. My wife of 31 years was on the one of the master plans before this. And it's a huge amount of work, and the people that work on it are to be commended. But it also needs direction, and a master plan is only good if it's completed. But getting back to the concept committee, it's a way that individuals and developers can run ideas past the town before they are married to their own concept.
Yeah. Well, what you say, I agree. I mean, certainly town, no matter how small it is, the efficiency got to be there. And I have heard some horrible stories from small business people getting a license, for example. I don't want to name the town's name that says it takes 3 months to get a license for a plumber to install a heating system. Now, you first go in there, you ask for it, sit through the meeting, and then they give you the form. And you can't fill out right there. You take it home.
I'm going to tell you, that's not a problem in our town. It can't be. I mean, Ephraim has been nothing but cooperative with us.
Right. I'm using that example to saying that efficiency is the key.
Right.
Here we have much bigger sort of issue.
And I think that's what you're hearing from us as candidates.
Right.
We're going to bring some business experience, some common sense. I've got a lot of background in grant writing, and once getting the money, you have to run the program. So we want to set up an environment that's business friendly in Somers. We have a lot of retail space that's vacant.
Right.
So let's encourage entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Let's bring people in. We're going to set up meetings with the Chamber of Commerce. We want to set up, how do we lure business into town?
What can we do to help them help us? That's our whole goal.
And if it's a matter of
And that's a
expediting
common
permits,
sense
then
approach.
we'll work on that.
Right.
We'll work on it.
Right. So this sort of mutual help is certainly the key theme for any business development. I mean, nobody can
For
do it
any
one way.
enterprise. Anybody who doesn't communicate well, you're doomed to failure. And I think that's part of the problem we have in the town right now. They're not communicating well with us. We'd like to have, a town hall meeting. I mean, I've lived there for 6 years. I've never had anything like that occur. I think it'd be a great thing.
You mean the town hall meeting? Yeah, it's just anybody.
Ask the residents to
questions.
come
Right.
and tell us what's bothering
It
you.
seems to me our
what
town
needs-
meeting is quite rigid in format.
Well,
Yeah.
they have business to attend to at the town board
Right.
meeting.
That's not the
different.
format. I think what he's saying is that instead of having an agenda for the night,
Yeah, it's a free
Right.
form type of town hall meeting. Ask your questions, then get answers. Right.
And that's helpful to hear what are people frustrated about? What's the thing that's bothering the people in Shenorock the most, or the people in Granite Springs? What section of town?
and
You know?
you know what? And don't tell them what they want to hear. Tell them
No.
what the realities are.
And listen to what they have to say. We realize that we represent the voters. We're not here for us. That's not what we're here for.
I
We're
hope
here
so.
for the
That's
voters.
certainly, yeah. I mean, these
This
kind of,
state has got a track record like none other, with more people having all these vested interests.
Okay, if that's the case, and you also pointed out that we are in an economical sort of a tight situation, so what are other revenues or avenue to get.
Think
yeah.
about this. We are going to have to make up a shortcoming, right?
Yeah.
In the town
Budget
employees pension fund. That's going to be a big hit for the town. All right. We're asking for a job right now.
Right.
Okay. That is basically going to have a lot of problems coming forward.
Right.
And we're not doing it because we figure, hey, we're going to be able to do a duck
No,
walk
I understand. I'm pointing to one discussion I would like to hear is that a lot of the government are sort of a stimulus, money is being sort of distributed. Now, how can Somers sort of participate in that process with government experience and corporate experience? How you two, if you elected, can guide the town to get some of this money and do something for the Somers.
Right. Well, just going back to
grant writing.
grant writing and knowing about grants that are available. There are historic property monies that the state you can apply for. There are federal grants for programs you can apply for. We can talk to our legislators in Albany. We can talk to the ones in Washington. There's a federal register that gets published, and in that are a myriad of grants. I would encourage some of the towns.
At this point, does the town have either a committee or some person or a volunteer
Of course,
to write grants?
every town does, and Mary Beth has done a great job trying to get what she can get. Okay, but you have it always is helpful to have a different look at things. It really is. I see that where I work all the time. And what we've done in a lot of instances, at least I have politically, I try to help any of the candidates that are running. So we have friends in different levels of government. Okay, we have friends in Yorktown and Brewster and all
And
these
the county
surrounding
government,
towns. And we're all of the same mindset. If we get elected, we want to sit down and see what we can do to work together to try to do things practically for our residents.
And if it's joining with other municipalities on a grant proposal
Or
that goes-
sharing service type of
Right.
thing?
Yeah.
And share that information. I mean, just because we're all applying for a grant doesn't mean we can't all get it either. A lot of times these are not specific to one municipality. So I mean, sharing that kind of information.
That certainly is,
Consortium sometimes.
certainly is fair to
Mary Beth, to her point, she's been a leader in working with people in the county on stormwater surface management
Yeah,
and things
there's
like
water,
that.
yeah,
She absolutely has done a great job.
Yes. Well, we had Mary Beth on our show before, and then certainly, she has given her view to our, audience. And I would like to sort of focus on you two. Is that now? What do you think is the priority if you really, participate now in the council, as far as the issues facing town of Somers?
Making it more business friendly, okay?
To the business, the
Right.
small business.
Evaluating some of the things like the insurance that we pay and some of the other things that we can sit down and look at. And I'd be very proactive in doing stuff like that. I think working with I've always seen in a large company where our company would hire some efficiency expert to come in and inquire of all of us, what can we
Management
do
to
to
get
save
involved
money?
to- yeah.
And then they'll take credit for the idea. I guarantee you that the people that work for the town of Somers have ideas. And I think we need to ask them.
Yeah, usually those are facilitators, that they get your idea out, sort of facilitate into a more
Which is
crystal
what I
clear.
do. Which is what I do for my company.
I
I
see.
really do.
Yeah,
So-
what do you think?
No, I agree. I think we need to get input from, first of all, the personnel that's in the town. And besides that, I think working with the Chamber of Commerce is very important. We have, why I think we're so fortunate in Somers is we have two major corporations that have headquarters here. That really assists our tax base. We have the state police that are barracks in the town of Somers. I think to hang on to those type of entities certainly the state police for immediate protection, along with our local police department, and IBM and PepsiCo. You know, they, I think we should be meeting with them. You know, what are their plans? And we'd like to get them involved with, community resources and helping out our community. And as far as priorities go, I know enough about government. You can come into work one day and say, this is what I want to accomplish, and guess what? Something else gets thrown on your plate and you have to address it. And you have to address it immediately and smartly. So those are what I hope to bring to this position.
Right. Well, speaking about sort of events. Certainly, I just heard that our park water has a little bit problem. Didn't pass sort of an inspection. Things like that could perk up, and you have to deal as a priority. But I'm more thinking about is vision. I hear a lot of people talk about grand vision, but vision is not priority. Okay, vision can be a big picture, and everybody can paint a very rosy picture. But I think you have to prioritize, okay, in your vision, what is most important and how you're going to do it. You have to have a plan.
Quality of life is a big issue with me. I mean, one of the things that I'd like to do is to establish a dog park. Sounds like a stupid idea, but it's not a stupid idea. You have a lot of senior citizens in the town who can't really walk those dogs, and those are they're key to them.
Right.
Well, and speaking to seniors,
Yeah.
I mean, we want to keep them in their homes as long as we can. Let's work with not-for-profits in the town to see if we can do that.
There, but through the grace of God, go I.
Well,
We're getting
this
there.
town of Somers is unique to have the population that sort of consists of different groups.
Yeah.
And certainly, senior is one of
Absolutely.
majority. Okay, when we are talking these issues, time just flies. Okay, I thought half an hour we're going to ask you a lot of questions and a lot of discussion, but half an hour is gone. I'm so happy that you at least be here and can talk to our audience, and we certainly hope that you're successful in your campaign. We, as a show, we welcome every candidate, not just the Republican, the elephant here, but any other candidate. So I have to say that to our audience.
Rick and I also represent the Independence Party.
Oh yes, okay.
And we are
good.
ever so grateful to them for
Right.
endorsing us.
And
So-
the conservatives.
No, well, we didn't get their endorsement, I think.
Locally, we got their endorsement.
Locally, we have.
Very good, very good. Okay, now I have to close now because the 30 minutes is gone. Right. I would like to just say to our audience that we are happy to have our candidates to speak to us directly. I think this is the only way for you to find out what do they represent, what is on their mind, and whether you agree with them or not, okay, and cast your vote in the election in November. So without, this kind of communication, sometimes you go to the voting booth, you look at the names, you sort of basically pick, short name or long name or familiar name, and that's not a way to run sort of a government business.
They picked Bolton and Morrissey.
Right. So I want to tell you our guests are Rick Morrissey and Harold Bolton. Okay. Thank them to be with us, and thank you for watching.